It's 10:24. You're with Britain's Newsroom on GB News with Andrew Pearce and Emily Carver, who's in for Bev Turner.
Yes, the Welsh Government is to redefine the word woman to include transgender females under planned new laws.
So the proposal was revealed yesterday in a leaked draft of its gender quotas bill, which proposes that half the candidates in any list to be members of the Senedd, that's the Welsh Parliament or Welsh Assembly, must be women.
So joining us now is the founder of Standing for Women, Kellie-Jay Keen. Kelly, thank you for joining us on the show this morning. So they want to change the definition of woman to include... the definition will state that transgender, so this is what's included in women, a person who is proposing to undergo, is undergoing or has undergone a process or part of the process for the purpose of reassigning their sex to female.
Oh, gosh, if I could make sense of any single one of those words, I'd be some sort of genius. I mean, you and The Telegraph and various people have talked about transgender females this morning, and I don't know quite what that is either. As far as I'm concerned, when it comes to female, there is one female, that's someone like myself, who was born female and has XX chromosomes. And then there are people who are men who were not born with XX chromosomes, who some of them claim to be women. And so that's what we're talking about. And look, we could get in a situation in Wales where they have this wonderful 50-50 gender, again, some sort of bizarre term which nobody can define, where everybody could have a penis, but they could still claim to be 50-50 men and women. So it's bonkers. They're
effectively trying to create a new definition of a woman, aren't they?
Yeah, effectively. Yeah, I think that, you know, the Welsh government have been on this journey into nonsensical definitions for quite some time. I just read a 7-page document this morning about what non-binary is. So, all bets are off when it comes to just how crazy they might go. I think they're probably going to try and compete with Scotland, which, is going to be fun to watch, although not that fun if you're a woman or a young person living in Wales.
I mean, Kellie-Jay Keen, I guess the counter is the question, would you prefer transgender women were excluded from candidates' lists? If they don't see themselves as a male, they see themselves as a woman, and if they're not allowed on the women's lists, then they can't become a politician.
Well, them's the breaks. If you want to pretend that you're something that you're not, then you can't be included in either list, I guess. That's a choice that you make. As far as I know, there are sort of women-only lists. I don't even agree with such a thing. I think we should live in a meritocracy. But if there are to be women-only lists, I've never heard of a man-only list. So there are open lists and there are women-only lists. And if you're a man who has decided that you're not really a man after all, then you can join the list for everybody. You just can't, you can be anything you want in this country. You just can't be the opposite sex because it's impossible.
So if a man transitions fully, Kellie-Jay, to what he regards now as female status, what would you describe that person as? Would you still say they're still a man?
Well, the same as you did in your question, and I would still call them a man. There's no such thing as transitioning into female status or into a female body or into a woman. Those things might be on somebody's wish list, and I wish them well. I hope they find some sort of peace, but I don't think they will find a woman's body at the end of whatever transition they may seek.
Now, Kathy Larkman, she's quoted in the reports about this. She's the Welsh coordinator of the Women's Rights Network. She says this change would likely see men self-identifying as women to greatly improve their chances of selection and would muscle females out.
Well, look, that's getting into the weeds, really. Basically, men can't be women. And so it doesn't really matter whether some man believes he's doing it just to cheat and get in an election on a shortlist, or whether he has, some real desire to be a woman. Either way, he's not a woman. So we either have women-only shortlists, or we don't. And if we do, they have to mean something. There must be some reason why people have decided it's important that women are represented in Welsh government. And the only way women can be represented is with these quotas. And if that is true, and I'm not saying it is, but if that's your rationale for doing something, then a man who claims to be a woman doesn't have any of those needs, that he won't tick any boxes. He doesn't know what it's like to be a teenage girl. He doesn't know what it's like to live a single day as a woman. So it just doesn't make any sense. If you want representation, why on earth would you pick somebody who can't possibly know what it's like to be representative of the population they claim?
Well, of course, Mark Drakeford has he's argued for a long time, hasn't he, that transgender women are women.
Yeah, he's standing down, I think, quite soon. Not soon enough.
I'm not comfortable with the idea of women's shortlists anyway, really, and the idea of quotas, and then to have this whole debate. Thank you very much for joining us, Kellie-Jay Keen, their founder of Standing for Women. Thank you for your time.
And a voice of common sense.
Yes, in this mad world.
In this mad world. And I do not understand why we don't get more people in the government taking on this madness. Because they should. They did it in Scotland over the gender reform bill there. They challenged it. They should be challenging what's happening in Wales, because it will not be popular.
That was a real eye-opener, wasn't it, what happened in Scotland?
Yeah, and I think it hastened the departure of Nicola Sturgeon.
Absolutely.
As First Minister.
Absolutely.
She was so completely out of touch on that issue.
She would deny that, of course. She would just needed a break.
Yeah, she can come on and talk about it if she'd like to. She doesn't like me at all. It's fine.